Good morning, Katie. This is a virtual lesson, I guess, on the topic of engagement. And so first, let me preface by saying, why do I think this should be our next step? Well, when I think about dog training, I think a lot of people think that dog training is skills, teaching your dog certain skills, rewarding them for pieces of the skills, and then it all comes together in the end. And to some extent that is true. It is important to teach our dogs the skills they need, especially in obedience. But I think that really good dog training is also about teaching, creating, and reinforcing the mental state or the attitude that we want in our dogs while they are working with us. That is the art of dog training that leads to the obedience performances you see, especially in Schutzhund, that are joyful and animated, and the dog is vibrating with intensity and joy to do the work. And that's important because in IGP or Schutzhund, you are actually scored to some extent on the joy that your dog shows in the work and the intensity. A dog that is distracted or lacks focus or is plodding or appears bored is never going to score as high as a dog that has true mental attitude of joy and value in the work. Further, I think the tools and the skills and the mechanics that we use to build this engagement or focus and intensity also helps to create a dog who truly values the work that they're doing with us. So I want to start spending a good chunk of our time working on engagement. That's step one. So we know that the topic of this lesson and some of our work is going to focus on engagement. Let's start with defining that. I already did that a little bit previously when I talked about joy and intensity and attitude and value in the work. Those are all important points of engagement, but to me, you know me, Katie, we always have to have criteria for the work that we are doing. And so for me, true engagement is a dog that is laser focused on the handler, regardless of the distractions that are occurring around them in environment. A dog that is exhibiting body language of intensity, of happiness. I want a tail up, I want ears up, I want an intent expression on the dog. I want things to be moving quickly, and that's as much because dogs enjoy movement and that will become reinforcing, but also because it creates the picture that we want in IGP. That snappy, powerful picture that everybody wants when they think of IGP obedience. So that's the definition of engagement. Now the next thing that we need to answer is, where do we start? And I think the answer is first discussing the food that we use. We are going to start building engagement with food. And I know that some dogs like toys better, and that's great, but all dogs need to eat. Some dogs need to eat more than others, like your dog. And engagement is a great way for us to get calories into the dog without giving them food for free. And that's an important concept. Generally speaking, my puppies, when I bring them home, do not eat from a bowl, a free meal, so to speak, for probably the first year that they're with me. Every bit of food that is going into their mouth, they are earning through behavior work of some sort, whether it's tracking, whether it's learning life skills like being quiet in a crate or having your nails dremeled, or whether it's doing engagement. And engagement is some of the games that I will show you are great ways to get a lot of food into your dog in a short period of time. But here's the kicker. I don't want you to use hot dogs, cheese, high-value jerky for this work. I want you to use your dog's daily meals. There's a few reasons for that, Katie. First, if our dogs are going to earn a good percentage of their food via work, then that food needs to be balanced and nutritious and appropriate for the dog. In other words, their daily food. The other aspect is that I don't want you to get stuck in the trap of always needing to use higher value, yummier, juicier, tastier food to get the attitude that you need. Now, it's absolutely true that I will use cheese or hot dogs occasionally if I'm going to a very high value environment that I know my dog will struggle with. Maybe as a reward for a post-trial run, sure. But my daily training, I just use my dog's regular food. And so if you're feeding kibble, which I think you are, so long as you can hold the kibble multiple pieces in your hands at one time and feed in individual pieces without dropping the food, it is perfectly acceptable to do so. Yes, that means the first few sessions, your dog might be like, WTF, like cheapo. Trust me, they'll get with the program and I'll show you how to get there. I use a lot of freeze-dried food. This is very expensive food. You certainly do not have to use this, but I tend to struggle with smaller pieces of food. So I like food that's a little bit bigger that I can hold on to easily. Also, unlike you, I have the problem of a dog who's a very easy keeper. She so much as smells a piece of food and she puts on 5 pounds. And the freeze-dried food is very low calorie, so I can use a fair amount of it and not wind up with a dog who looks like a hippo. You do not have that problem. So I want you to take your daily kibble in your hands and kind of feel it and think about whether you can use it for this training. So now we've talked about what our goal is, better engagement, meaning better focus, better attitude, better intensity. We've talked about how we define our criteria for engagement, which is focus that cannot be broken, and the body language that demonstrates the mental state that we're looking for. We've talked about the tool that we're going to use to build this, which is the dog's daily food. And then the next step is how? Where do we start? And that will be the subject of the next video. All right, now it's time to get to the how we start the process of engagement, the game that we're going to play. As usual, I'm going to start by verbally describing the things that I want you to do and think about, and then I'll demonstrate. So first, we just talked about food. You're going to start by ensuring that you have at least 2 to 3 good handfuls of food someplace easily accessible. I use, as you know, just hoodie shirts, turn them inside out to go through the wash, and I probably have about 2 or 3 handfuls of my freeze-dried food in here that I can get to fairly easily, okay? The dog is going to be probably in a crate or in your car to start. You can actually start this in your apartment if you want to. Not a problem, so long as you're safe and you have room to do it, perfectly fine. Here, I have a dog, conveniently crated for our convenience. What you're going to do, the dog is going to be safety first. So if your dog needs to drag a line so you can grab them if they head off to higher ground, that's perfectly fine. In an ideal world though, Katie, I want you to try to do as much of this work safely, off leash as you can, because it's valuable information. If you cannot keep your dog with you without a leash or a line, that's information you need to have about how the dog feels, right? We have to get in the process of not only thinking about our bodily mechanics and how we do this, but also reading the dog's mental state as we go, and that's valuable information. So you will have cookies in your pocket or your pouch or whatever you use. You will have a dog perhaps dragging a long line in your car or in a crate. What you're going to do is get the dog out of the car or the crate. You will walk them, on leash of course, to wherever your training area is. You will put that dog in a down for some time to let the dog look around and acclimate. When this is happening, the dog is not in working mode. You do not have an expectation of attention. You're letting them look, letting them sniff, letting them think about things. At some point, which may be 5 seconds, or it may be 5 minutes as you start this, you're going to notice the dog start to pay some attention to you. They're gonna look up at you. At first, it's gonna be a glance. Hey mom, you still there? Oh, okay. Let's look around the area some more. That's the point in time in which you will quietly get 5 or 6 treats in each hand. So I've got 4 in one, so I need to add a couple more, and I've got my 6 in the other. Perfect. It's enough cookies for the game that we're gonna play specifically, but it's not enough that hopefully you're dropping it everywhere. And by the way, if you find when you are doing this game that you are dropping food, that's valuable information for you too. You probably will need to use pieces of kibble or a type of kibble that has bigger pieces that you can hold on to more easily. And so while your dog is in a down, let's go back to our game. Your dog is in a down, they're looking around. Maybe you're standing on the leash if you're a little bit worried about them. Maybe you're in a safe space and they're off leash. When they start to look up at you and make actual eye contact and show you like, hey, what are we doing here? When they look up at you and give you attention, you will give them the release word and you are going to back away from the dog, feeding them a piece out of one hand and then the other in rapid succession until all the treats are gone. You can engage verbally, good dog, yeah, get it, good dog, get it. Your focus and attention is on your dog, 100%. If you want your dog to give intensity to you, you give intensity to the dog. This whole thing, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then you put your dog back in a down when all the cookies are gone. I can promise you, you're going to immediately reach into your pocket, get 5 or 6 more cookies for both hands. I can promise you, your dog is probably going to be giving you attention more quickly. They might look around real quick, hey, are we okay? And then they're gonna focus on you, and when they do, release them again. Yeah, get it. Yeah, get it. Peace. Pez dispense. You are building value for that intensity and rewarding that intensity with a lot of food. This lets you get a lot of calories into your dog, and it helps build the value. You can repeat that process 3 times and then put your dog in the car. If you still need to get more calories into your dog, wait 5 minutes. Let them have a drink. Let them think about life a little bit, then get out and repeat. You can do this 2 to 3 times per training session, depending on what you see from your dog. If on the last set your dog is struggling to give you that intensity or the intensity is dropping, that's okay. Just stop, put the dog up. That's what the dog can do for the day. You will be surprised how tiring it is for a dog to be that intense for 5 to 10 minutes. This training should be super short, super high energy, super valuable for your dog. You're not asking them for anything other than letting them activate you. Don't beg your dog for engagement, Katie. You are always waiting for them to give you attention and focus, and you're moving away from the dog, so they're pushing into you. That creates a dog who's pushing you for work rather than you sticking a cookie under their nose and hoping and praying. And if you're in the middle of this, pez, and the dog looks away and wanders off, back up fast from them. See if you can draw them back in, and then put them in a down so they have a chance to look and think about whatever's scaring them and try again. If it's an absolute failure, you go someplace and you're like, I can't keep this dog's attention and intensity to save my life, that's okay too, Katie. You've just overfaced it for the day. Next time, go someplace a little less distracting. It's okay. It's all just information, right? So now, let's see if we can demonstrate this game. All right, here we have our dog in a down. What a good girl. I'm gonna reward her for her down. Good. Who's had a chance to acclimate. You can see she's giving me good eye contact. So I'm gonna start using my body language to tell her, oh, it's about time. Yeah, oh, yeah. Use movement. Good girl. Down. Good girl. She's pushing me around. She wants the food. She wants to work. I'm reloading. Look at that focus on me right now. Get it. Oh, get it. Oh, yeah, get it. Move away. Good girl. Down. Good. Nice. Always keep moving. You're using the movement and your body language. Good. Yeah, get it. Down. Good girl. So that's a demonstration of the game. Down. You could see there was a couple of times that she looked away and got distracted. I waited for her to refocus before I released her. Never release a dog to work who isn't giving you attention. Use your voice, your body language, and the rapid movements to draw them towards you. Make them push you to work. We don't beg. All right? Give that a try.